Have you ever looked at someone else's photo and wonder, why are their photos better than mine? Well, most of the time the answer is color. You see, color grading is my favorite topic, and I've spent a huge amount of time trying to understand how colors work. And to be fair, I've also spent a lot of time thinking I didn't have that thing, that eye for color that some people have and some other people don't have. So if this is what you think about yourself, this video is for you. Now that color grading became my favorite topic, I want to use all the knowledge, all the things that I learned to show you that color grading and colors for photography is really not that complicated. The thing is that the photographers that you admire, they are not randomly moving the sliders around. They are editing their colors to make the viewer feel something. Feel like how it felt on location, or feel like the creative vision they had in mind. And colors play a huge role in how the final result will hit you and will make you feel. The good news is that you don't have to be born with a magic talent or a magic eye. You can learn a few rules to make your colors look way better in your photos. And it will even make editing much easier once you know those rules, because you won't be wondering how to start the edit. You won't be wondering which sliders you are supposed to touch to make your photos look good. So let's not make this introduction too long. I want to bring you inside of a website. This is Adobe Color. This is free, and you can also open it in your laptop or in your phone, wherever you are watching this video, so you can follow along with me. So we are inside of Adobe Color, and the reason why I want you to have a look at this wheel, it is because I want to tell you about color harmonies. Color harmonies is kind of a rule, or see it more like a guide than a rule, that will help you to choose the right colors that will work in your image. So what really are color harmonies? Color harmonies are a set of color combinations that we know work. And because we know that those different color harmony work and that those colors look good together, this is a good idea to follow them to color grade your photos, because it will make the process much easier. Each color harmony kind of give a different vibe, a different feeling, and so it will also help you to communicate an emotion or feeling thanks to choosing this color harmony over another one. So first of all, I want to show you the different color harmonies, then I'll tell you what kind of feeling they give, and to finish, I will of course show you in practice on real photos how it can look like. So here, as you can see, I have different colors, different hue, and all those colors, they are all next to each others, and that's what creates an analogous color scheme. Okay, if I move the main color and that all of my colors are like that, this is still an analogous color scheme. Okay, then here we have the complementary color scheme. Usually, if you have already heard about color harmonies, you would have heard about the complementary color scheme. This is just one color on the color wheel and the opposite color. We often hear about teal and orange that would look like this, green and magenta, blue and yellow. Those are complementary colors. Then we have split complementary. This is my personal favorite, and this is the one I use in almost all of my photos. Usually I use it with kind of blue, orange, and red. This is how I really like to use it, but just like the other color harmonies, you can just have your main color anywhere on the wheel. And this is very interesting to use Adobe Color for that, because you can really move any hue around the color wheel to see what is the opposite colors, or what are the colors that are adjacent to each other's, like for analogous. Then we have Triadic color scheme. Triadic, this is 3 colors that are evenly placed on the color wheel, as you can see. So yeah, I personally, sometimes I use it with green, kind of a red, orange, and blue, like this. But yeah, this is what Triadic is. So square is a bit like Triadic, but instead of having 3 colors placed evenly on the color wheel, this is 4 colors, okay? So those are the main color harmonies that you might want to use for your photos. So analogous, complementary, split complementary, triadic, square. If you are completely new to color harmonies, please go on the Adobe Color website and look at the different color harmonies by clicking on each of those little icons, okay? Now, I created a file initially for my color code students. So if you don't know, I have a color grading course for photographers. This is called the color code. This is a 4-steps method to follow every time you edit your photos. So if you struggle with color grading, if you don't really understand the world of color harmonies and all, the link is in the description. So here, this is the color harmony cheat sheet that you get when you are a student. And for each color harmony, I show it on the color wheel, and then I'll tell you what kind of emotion it gives with some examples, okay? So for analogous, in my opinion, it really gives kind of a calm, organic, peaceful, atmospheric kind of feeling. The reason is that the colors, they are really close to each other, so there is not a lot of contrast in color, so it makes the image really peaceful. And here you can see two of my photos. Here, this is an image from Joanna Kustra, and you can see that in those kind of image there is no tension with the colors. So yeah, if you want to create smooth transition between colors, it's perfect for nature, dreamy edits, unified color moods. You know, something where you don't want the viewer to be overwhelmed. Analogous could be a good color harmony for that. Then complementary, like I just said, this is two colors that are opposite to each other's. Here we start to have some contrast with colors because we are using only two colors that are opposite to each other. So here are some examples. Create strong contrast without overwhelm. Energy, boldness, intensity, even drama. I think on some image it looks pretty nice. But I would say if you want to have an image really dramatic, I would use another one. I'll show you after. So use when you want your subject to stand out or create tension in the image while still keeping the vibe not overwhelming and pleasing to look at. Okay, then split complementary. This is my personal favorite. I use it in almost all of my photos. I love it because this is really balanced and it really gives richness in the colors, because this is not only two colors like complementary color harmony. We have 3 different colors, and so I found that it gives more depth to the image. Use when you want color contrast without the aggressiveness. Ideal for gentle storytelling or calming travel scenes with emotional depth. I wrote that because that's what I use in my photos. See? So there is more depth, more richness in colors, more contrast in colors than complementary, in my opinion. So this is complementary, this is split complementary. Then we have triadic. So yeah, the emotion, joy, playfulness, creative tension. I don't personally use a lot triadic, so I use other photographers' images. So here we have the Superman poster, Joanna Kustra, so we can see the green, orange, and purple. And here another image from Stephen Klein. So yeah, that's 3 colors evenly placed on the color wheel. I already said that. Then we have square, that also looks pretty nice. I think square looks nice, and also triadic if you want really tension and maybe a science fiction look. Those 2 color harmony works really well. So yeah, here I'm talking about square, complex, colorful, and dynamic composition, richness, diversity, artistic tension. You want a bold and adventurous look, but it's harder to balance. Best for advanced edits or stylized projects. So if you are completely new to color grading, I would not recommend to go straight to the square color harmony. Maybe try first analogous and complementary, and then do the split, triadic, and square. And then of course we have the monochromatic. So it's true that I didn't show you monochromatic inside of Adobe Color, but yeah, this is one hue with different shades, tones, and tints. So of course, black and white, like those images, are monochromatic images. So now how it looks like in practice, I want to show you on one single photo different color harmonies, and you're gonna see that it's really going to change the story of the image and how the image feels. Let me go inside of Photoshop, and here I have this photo. This is the base where I've been starting from, and then I've been editing this photo with 3 different color harmonies. So let's start with analogous. This is how analogous look like. Let me show you here. This is inside of the color lab, my color analysis tool. So I've been analyzing the colors that are in this image here, and you can see that all the colors, they are adjacent to each other, which creates an analogous color scheme. Okay, so this is analogous. Then complementary. This is complementary, so you can see blue and yellow. Here, this is the analysis with the color lab. If I wanted to make this complementary color scheme really perfect, I will need to bring the blues more towards a deeper blue, like here, instead of between blue and cyan. Okay, and then we have split complementary, and you can see here, this is the color wheel with the split complementary. So let me show you all of them again, so you can decide which one you prefer. Tell me which one you prefer for this edit in the comments. So this is analogous. Here we have complementary, and here we have split complementary. You see how the feeling of the image is completely different with just the color grading that changed. Here there is nothing else done except the color grading. So yeah, analogous feels really quiet, very calm in my opinion. Complementary is a bit more aggressive, I find. So I was the one on location shooting this photo, and complementary doesn't match the vibe at all. Split complementary, there is more richness in the colors, so it's also pretty nice. I think I would hesitate between analogous and split complementary for this edit, and I might choose analogous. Yeah, but let me know what you think. And now you might be thinking, okay, but how do I do that? Well, you can use Lightroom. If you are a Lightroom user, you can totally use tools like color or color mixer. I would highly recommend you to use color mixer, eventually color grading as well. And if you are a Photoshop user, you can use a combination of Lightroom or Camera Raw and the adjustment layers such as selective color or color balance like I have here. Same for complementary, I use a combination of Camera Raw and color balance and hue and saturation. And split complementary, combination of Camera Raw and color balance. So let me show you another example that I did on another image. And here, this is a split complementary color scheme. Here, this is the colors, the main colors on the color wheel. You can see this is a split complementary color scheme. Then we have Triadic. This is the colors on the color wheel. Then we have complementary. You can see the opposite colors. And then we have square. And this is the colors on the color wheel. And you can see here, it really feels like a kind of science fiction. Something bad is going to happen on this image. Then complementary, Triadic. And you know, Triadic also feels like science fiction thing. That's what I was saying before with the color grading, with the color harmony cheat sheet. Triadic and square are great if you want to make people feel uncomfortable thanks to colors. Here, same as before, let me know in the comments which one you prefer for this edit. This is captured in Bruges, Belgium, by the way, if you're interested. Split complementary, this is my personal favorite. Triadic, complementary, and square. So the best way to choose a color harmony is before going inside of your editing software. Ask yourself, what do I want my viewer to feel? Or ask yourself how it felt on location for me. Was it something a little overwhelming? The scene scared me a little bit? Or was it super calm, super quiet, really dreamy? Yeah, ask yourself that question first. And then second thing you will need to do is to analyze the colors that are already in the image. And so you can decide how to manipulate each color in tools like Color Mixer in Lightroom, for example. If you have a lot of orange in your image and it needs to go more towards red, well, then you know exactly which tools to use in your editing software instead of wondering what you are supposed to do and instead of trying every sliders and hoping that something is going to work. So for the analysis, you can actually use Adobe Color as well, where you would just have to click on image, and here you enter your image and you sample some color on your image and it will tell you what are the main color. Or you can use the Color Lab, that is the app that I've built for my color code students. Here you just sample the main color of your image. Okay, and maybe this magenta here. And then you click on Analyze on the wheel. You can also enter the name of each color so you know exactly what this is. Analyze on the wheel, and then here it's going to show you where are each colors. You just click on pure use and it will show you where it is on the outside part of the wheel, because this is always easier to see if there is a color harmony when the colors are in the edge of the wheel. And what makes this tool really special, this is the harmony guide that will tell you what is the closest detected harmony. But it can also tell you if you've decided on the first step that you want your image to feel a little scary. Like I said before, you would need maybe Triadic or Square. You click on Square and then it will tell you which color you need to shift to create that square harmony, okay? It shows you on the wheel, but also with words like slight nudge towards cyan, shift toward orange, shift towards sky blue, and then you would have the name of each color here. For the example, I didn't add the name of every color, but I think you got the point. If you are completely new to color harmonies, go to Adobe Color, try to understand the different color harmonies, how they work, and then try to take one photo and edit it with different color harmonies, just like I did here. Same photo, different color harmony, and so you can then really see how each color harmony feels for you, because that's also really important that you decide on which color harmony you prefer and that would match your photos. Now, 2 things before I end this video. If you liked it, if you learned something, I would highly appreciate if you could write a little comment, because it tells YouTube that this video could be interesting for other photographers just like you. And the second thing, if you feel ready to learn color grading more in depth, I've got a full course where I teach color grading for photography. It's a 4-step method that you can use in any software. And it also gives you access to the Color Lab to analyze the color in any of your photos and get guidance on how to color grade them. At the time I'm recording this video, we are already 1090 photographers inside of the color code. I will add some testimonial on the screen if you want to pause and read them. And if that sounds something that you would like, the link will be in the description.